Everybody, it's me, Andrew. Get out into nature and tune in for yourself. Resonate with the Earth's electromagnetic field via 432 hertz, the universal frequency. Balance out psychologically and emotionally, and further strengthen your brain and your heart's coherence as well. Get a plant based diet going for yourself today and nurture yourself right back into life. We are literally herbivores in our nature. Further balance out your physical body's pH level and to get with alkalinity. Then you can generate some static electricity. Send me some love telepathically. Set attention to your mind and set intention to communicate. That is all there is to telepathy. You are now tuning in to great days. So I'm gonna talk a little bit on telekinesis today. Okay, telekinesis is something that we've heard about pretty much maybe throughout like entertainment and movies and whatnot, or maybe stories, but we've never actually been able to maybe experience telekinesis so profoundly. Well, most of us, but telekinesis is a real thing, and I'm going to talk a little bit on what telekinesis is. And yeah, it's going to be a pretty good video, so stay tuned till the end. So let's get right into this. Telekinesis. Telekinesis, what does telekinesis even mean to begin with? Telekinesis is pretty much it's pretty much kinetic energy. We've learned about kinetic energy in school. Kinetic energy is a type of movement. Okay, energy in movement, or it's a momentum of energy. Kinesis, kinetic. Okay, this is a key and netic. Okay, so key is like energy, and netic is like type of networking in a way. Okay, so then you got tele. Tele is usually translates to over distance. Okay, with our understanding of it. Okay, so it's like being able to move something over a distance, or being able to like put something into kinesis, or bringing something into momentum over a distance, is what telekinesis is, which is exactly what it is. Whenever you see telekinesis, usually like the most exaggerated form of it, or the most well-known form of it, is being able to like move something with your mental energy. Like the Force in Star Wars is pretty much a good example of telekinesis. They're able to pick things up with their mental energy or their mental prowess. This is telekinesis. What they're doing is they are moving things. Okay, they're putting things into momentum over distance. Basically, they're putting things into kinetic state over a distance, because they're not using their physical bodies purely. Usually they're able to just like focus their psychic intent on something, and they're able to put it into momentum, into a kinetic state. And they're doing this over that a little distance. This is what tele is for. Tele is over a distance. It translates to um, I don't know the deeper translations, like the older translations. I haven't done it, but maybe the newer ones, or the more well known ones are pretty much like over distance. Okay, so telling, also it can be telling. So the telling of kinetic energy, you know. Now telekinesis is pretty much using your mental prowess. Okay, and this is a real city. This is a city. In Buddhism, cities are pretty much supernatural abilities, and they can use these. Those who have been able to master it can use it. Okay, and this can also involve like bending spoons and whatnot. You see another example of telekinesis being used they're bending spoons. Okay, so they're not only just able to pick things up or move things with their minds, but they can like bend spoons and whatnot. And this is all true. Okay, because it's all being able to maybe utilize your magnetic field in a very, very precise way. Okay, and it takes a mastery in itself. It's not something that can be easily done or easily achieved. It takes a very tremendous amount of energy and a momentum of energy. So it takes Kundalini awakening to begin with. So what you need to understand is that once you are able to awaken to Kundalini all the way up to the crown and higher, um, telekinesis may be a thing that you're able to utilize at that point. So it is a real thing. Telekinesis. You're not going to find the average person using telekinesis on the exaggerated levels that you have seen throughout the entertainment that has been projected onto you, though, is the whole thing about it. If the average person is using telekinesis, is on a very, very basic and subtle level, one that isn't normally able to be realized. But as you start to maybe decondition and start to see beyond the veil a little bit, you may be able to start seeing a little bit of telekinesis being utilized by a person who is on their awakening. Okay, but once again, it's not going to be as extreme as bending spoons, and it's not going to be extreme as being able to push something, with your mental prowess, but more so it's going to be as very basic as putting something into a state of kinetic um, over a distance, so it's this simple. This is what telekinesis is. It's putting something into that kinesis state or that kinetic state with your mind. Okay, so instead of having to, let's say, like push one of these, instead of having to push this like this, putting into kinesis, you can just use your mind to push it, kind of like magnets repelling each other. They kind of let off that force. It's the same thing. You can do this with your mind, with your mental prowess, but in order to get to that point, you need a tremendous amount of energy going up your spine, which is the Kundalini energy. So you need to have your Kundalini energy on a rise in order to come into realizing how to do this. Okay, but it is possible. And once again, there's various different degrees of the ability in itself. There's extremes to it, and there's lesser degrees to it. So I want to say the most subtle are we can all pretty much use it, is what I'm trying to say, but we're all using like a very, very subtle degree of telekinesis. Okay, and this just involves maybe fluctuating your energetical field to direct people, or influence people to take a certain direction, or maybe even being able to move plants that are pretty much stagnant or maybe still. You can, by amplifying your energy, you may be able to like put the plant into a type of a type of movement, where it's then not stagnant or not completely still, but it's then in a state of kinesis or kinetic energy, So it's pretty much just like utilizing your mental prowess to put something into momentum over a distance. Okay, so you don't actually have to use your physical limbs or your physical body, but you can just use your mental body to do so, because your mental body is also a body. It's just unseen by most people because this is the way we've been conditioned in Western civilization. We've been conditioned to see the mental body as intangible or invisible, but it's not really. It is just a more subtle body. There's multiple bodies, all right? We have maybe we have multiple bodies, all right? We have the physical body, this is third dimensional. We have the mental body, that's fourth dimensional. And then we have multiple energetical bodies, or our aura, which are all higher dimensional because they're more metaphysical, they're beyond physical. Okay, but we have been programmed to live physically because they want to keep us in lower dimensional understandings so they can keep a controlling hand over us. Okay, but as you start to shift into higher dimensional understanding, you start to understand that telekinesis is a very, very supernatural thing. And this is why it's labeled a supernatural ability, because it is supernatural. And we are all actually born with telekinesis. Or telekinetics. Okay, and once you start understanding more of occult sciences as well, you're gonna understand that most of these people who are involved with occult prowess or sciences, telekinesis is very basic to them as well. Okay, and it's the same thing for telepathy as well. Telepathy is right in with telekinesis. It's a supernatural ability. It's just using your mind to communicate. We're using the phone to communicate right now telepathically because we're communicating over a distance. So this is why it's called a telephone. We're communicating over a distance. Okay, telephone, telepathic powers. Okay, so there's the same prefix it translates to telling of, or maybe even over a distance. Okay, so telepathy is pretty much being able to communicate with your mind with another person, right? We're able to do this. We're able to do this. We've been able to do this forever. This is part of our birth. You know, we were born with this ability to telepathically communicate with each other via the pineal gland and our brain functioning. The pineal gland is able to secrete certain substances that allow for the psychic abilities that we all possess, okay, which involves telepathy, communicating over distances. But what we have done, we have exteriorized this ability, and we've pretty much started using cell phones to mediate the loss of the ability. Okay, so they pretty much put us out of this ability to be able to do such a thing, and then they brought in telephones so we can do it instead. So at one point, we were able to communicate with each other telepathically across the globe. But now we have hardware to do it. We have technology to do it, devices, telephones, and now we can pretty much telepathically communicate with these phones. Okay, it's the same thing. We turn on the phone and we call a person, you know, and we're talking to them over a space-time distance. But it's the same thing as being able to just tune in and communicate with somebody without the phone, just with your psychic prowess. You know, it's just subtract the phone. You know, it's the same exact thing. So these are two natural abilities we all have. For most people, they don't understand that they have these abilities, but we were all born with these abilities, and this is why they're called supernatural abilities, because they are actually natural to us. And not only are they just natural, they are supernatural to us. Okay, we all possess these, but they put us out of these abilities. Okay, and there's much more. There's not just these two. We have many abilities that are able to be utilized. Okay, and they're all supernatural abilities. If you want to understand more of them, you can look up some of the cities. Siddhis, I think it is spelled in English. And these are, in Buddhism, they are known as supernatural abilities. They come with daily spiritual practice, meditation, yoga, whatever other spiritual practice there is. If you're doing it daily, you're going to start developing these cities. Once again, you're going to start developing these supernatural abilities, and everybody has them. Okay, so one other thing that I want to say is that instead of it's a type of developing them, but it's also a type of realizing them, because they're so supernatural to us, they're so natural to us, that we're all using them, okay? But we're using them on levels that we don't realize because we're not living inwardly. We're not living as deeply as we should be living. We're living very, very trivially, and we're living very surface level. Okay, we're living very superficially these days, and this is why we can't actually see some of the deeper aspects to our being. Okay, which is what these cities are. They're deeper aspects to our being, and they're natural to all of us. Okay, so it's that simple. Okay, so telekinesis, you can realize that you are using telekinesis, but once again, it's not the mastered or extremely exaggerated version of being able to bend spoons or move things like in Star Wars, you know. Even though this may be achievable to masters who are off the laws of physics, this is not going to be achievable by the average person, more so very, very subtler, lesser degrees of the ability of telekinesis. Okay, because telekinesis, once again, is just putting something into a state of kinesis or kinetic state, kinetic energy, you know, which is something in its motion uh, over a distance. So you're putting something into momentum over a distance. That's telekinesis. Okay, which is exactly what it is. When you see telekinesis, people are pushing things with their mind. You know, they're putting things into a kinetic state over a distance. They're not using their body to do it. They're using their mental body to do it. Okay, and that's what telekinesis is. And we're all able to do this, but not so extremely because we're not mastered in it. You can develop it, you can strengthen it, and you can master it, but they don't want us to be able to do that because it's a very powerful technique if it is mastered. But we are still utilizing this technique on a very, very lesser degree. Okay, and that takes a realization. You got to I want to say decondition maybe, or take up some sort of spiritual practitioner to the point where you're able to realize that you're already using telekinesis, but on a very, very lesser degree of the ability. Okay, so that's gonna be the video for today. I hope y'all all did enjoy the little understanding or the little talk on telekinesis, telepathy. Maybe I'll go in depth on telepathy as well tomorrow. I don't know yet, but that's pretty much it. Once again, so peace out. Generate some static electricity from the etheric body or the first layer of the aura. One love, and have a great morning.